a person of interest, all of the above. And today we happen to have lots of room, plenty of elbow room, leg room, whatever kind of room you're looking for to express yourself. So if you'd like to call, well, you're always invited to do so. But today, it's me, you, and this microphone, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Hour 3, we will be hearing from Joseph Williams and talking about protecting our youth activists in this moment of peril. Not just the ones on the university campuses, although that is important, but also our high school children, the student protesters feeling all of the threat and all of the weight of this new administration. And we're going to look at ways we can help them and how things are with young voices. I always love to hear from young voices just to balance things out. I feel like sometimes as a society, and I'm going to say particularly as Black folks, we do not always recognize the agency of young people in our midst. The agency, the fact that they have rights, they have voices. Young people should be both seen and heard, and they are oftentimes the ones leading these movements, especially in times of peril, like right now. In case you hadn't noticed, there's a lot of perilous things going on nationally, locally, and internationally, and they all seem to be linked. So hearing from them. Talking Point Tuesday. The talking points right now are flying so fast, it's almost hard to keep up with them, but we are intentional every week of spending at least one day out of the week clocking what we tell ourselves and what we're telling others, what they're telling us, and where do these statements come from? What do they really mean? And follow the money. Who put that idea on your timeline, in your head, in your newspaper, in your politician's mouth? Who put that talking point there? And does it serve you? Is it infecting your brain like a computer virus, or is it something you intentionally said and wanted to repeat and affirm? So important right now, particularly with the number of folks that are just feeling down, feeling challenged, feeling discouraged. I can't tell you how many folks I talk off the ledge almost every day. And I'm not talking about on the air. I'm talking about my personal friends and family because of, the Trump dump, the Washington blues. And you're not crazy. I get it. It's a lot. It's really one of the things that, not surprisingly, but also surprisingly, is hurting my heart the most is that they're already starting to dismantle the Smithsonian, or what they call the Blacksonian, right? The African American Museum in Washington, D.C., returning displays of Black excellence and other displays to their owners, dismantling this record of our legacy. Now, we don't know, perhaps in 4 years or 2 years or whenever this guy loses power, this party, this new Confederate party, all of those things will return to the museum and it will be reconstructed. But we don't know that. There's no guarantee of that. It took a long time in American history to stand that thing up on its feet. And so this is very tragic to me. I just want to fly to Washington, D.C. tomorrow and go walk around in it, even though they've already started taking some stuff out of there. So I will still not see the display, the artifacts that I would have seen 2 months ago, things like that. Whatever it is for you. For you, maybe it's deporting 4-year-old children, or maybe it's the fact that the Department of Justice is now trying to make the argument that they can enter your house with no warrant at any time simply because they suspect you're harboring an immigrant. Or perhaps it's the arresting of judges, the massive layoffs in federal agencies. I mean, there's so many things to be freaked out about. But that is why I say we need to review the rhetoric that's in our minds more thoroughly than ever, and be mindful of what we're telling ourselves, what we're repeating, and what we are telling our friends. I'm making a point in my mind of always circling back to the things that encourage me. And I said it yesterday. In fact, I might say it every day, which is that I feel in this battle, we win. It might not be right away, and it's not going to be, well, let me not say that. See, catching myself. I was going to say it's not going to be easy. Maybe not, maybe yes. We don't know. We can't, there's no, how does it serve me to say, oh, it's going to be hard? Oh, the world is stacked against black people. Oh, everybody hates women. Everyone hates. That doesn't serve us. How does that serve us? One of the talking points that I cringe about, because it gets a lot of clicks on the internet. So there's like a whole social machine that encourages us to lean into doom and gloom. Black people are an endangered species. It's open season on us. Nobody likes us. The world is against us. How does that help? I mean, it's not verifiably true. Is there oppression? Yes. Are there people that practice the delusion of white supremacy? Of course. Does that mean that we're an endangered species? No. We've survived and even thrived through the enslavement, re-enslavement, the Jim Crow, the heroin, the crack, now fentanyl. And we keep on contributing and rising with our creative genius and our moral compass for the world. No, we're not an endangered species. Are we in a battle or a war? Yeah. Does that mean we're an endangered species? No. Does that mean everybody hates us? No. Why does everyone want to be like us if they hate us? I know the saying, everybody wants to be black till the police come. Well, the cops are here. But nevertheless, people still emulate all things black. Stop telling yourself that. I have to stop telling myself that. No, they don't hate you. Maybe they're trying to jack you, but they don't hate you. It's open season. No, it's not open season. There are criminal cops and criminal criminals and people living in trauma and desperation that murder us and we murder each other. Does that mean it's open season? No, it does not. It means we have a lot of trauma, desperation, and a system of law enforcement and public safety that doesn't keep black people safe, that's steeped in white supremacy, that's steeped in the slave legacy, which is why we have to fight for reparations, to eliminate the badges and legacies of our enslavement, make sure it doesn't happen again, protect ourselves, right? But you're right, Jerry Anderson. I'm not trying to underestimate the enemy. I'm just trying to make sure we stay encouraged, stay positive, focus on what we want, not what we don't want, even though we see what we don't want encroaching. And so this is for a Talking Point Tuesday. No matter what news item you read and find yourself being horrified, discouraged, outraged, or upset, I am going to challenge you, us, myself, to affirm our ability to win. Yes, it's a lot, but we win in the end. Yes, but we are capable of overcoming this. Yes, but the momentum is and will continue to be on our side. There is so much to conquer, but our ancestors laid the track down. We only have to follow it. Yes, but we're strong, brave, and courageous. Wow, how wonderful that we know what's going on and we're thus able to be strategic in counteracting it. Molly Bell says, on this day in 1992, the police were acquitted of the Rodney King beating. We went off. Do y'all remember? Well, it was 33 years ago, so if you don't remember, if you're Miles, you don't remember because you weren't even born yet. But I'm sure whether folks remember or they just so happen to know our history, people understand this was one of those flashpoint moments, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you are chronologically gifted, over 33, and you are probably over 35, and you remember something or where you were. Molly Bell, I know you and many others will gather at Florence and Normandy, that flashpoint of the uprising of 92, and commemorate it. My understanding is some folks will be there today to do just that. We broadcast from there when we first started our first year on the air, because it was the 30th anniversary. But when I think about LA, I do think 1965 and 1992 are formative. And when I came from Northern California, I bought into the stereotype that a lot of the rest of the nation has about Los Angeles, which is that it's all Hollywood, beach bunnies and sunshine and airheads, and it's all of that is here. All of that is here. Egregious Hollywood stereotypes, massive wealth, airheads. But there's also a legacy of struggle, a legacy of protest, of scholarship that goes unnoted and uncredited many times to the rest of the world. 1965, the Watts Uprising, again spurred on by police abuse of community over policing. Same as 92, the beating of Rodney King, and all of those in between. And there is a legacy that comes with that, which people don't understand, which shapes a very robust activism. This is where Black Lives Matter got its boots on the ground and became more than a hashtag. This is where it became, an organization, a full-fledged organization with the very first chapter. This is where scholars like Runoko Rashidi and Dr. Kwaku Person-Lin and Dr. Tony Humber, this is where they come from. Tony Humber Mukaije, may they rest in peace. Not Dr. Kwaku, he's still around, thank God, but many of the others, Dr. Richard King, they're from here. They've made their transition. Let's not underestimate the greatness, the intellectual power, and the Bunchy Carter and the activist acumen and impact of Los Angeles. Love to hear your thoughts on 92 or 2025. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Of course, we're streaming live, as always, on YouTube at KBLA 1580. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, And at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Kern Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You really about to do it?
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580. And we've got your black. Baby! Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're back to me. We're back to you at 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Happy 429. It's not really a holiday, but it's something to remember. And I think particularly right now, when the anti-blackness is peak Americana, that we recognize that we continue to be powerful. We continue to set the tone, even if America and others do not recognize. And the crazy thing is, even with the Trump administration, this new Republican administration in the White House, and the erasing of history, even with the millions of people literally worldwide who marched in 2020 and many who continue to march today, the legacy of 429 just can't be erased. I was in the Bay Area working on my show, Home Turf, a teen talk show, which I hosted, my very first broadcast job. And was, of course, compelled to go outside like everybody. What did we do? We marched, just like LA, not as huge as LA, but just like LA. And there was burning, looting, smashing, protesting going on. I went down to Glide Memorial Church and we gathered there and we protested. And the reason that I say that, not just because I'm reflecting back on history, but because it impacted the whole nation. People think of this as an LA story, but there were people marching, rioting, speaking out, doing different actions against police abuse nationwide, right? And so I think it's important to put that in the historical record, because it wasn't just LA, a few angry N-words. It was, what did Kevin De Leon say, 25 black people yelling? It was black people, it was Latinos and others, and it was happening all over the nation. And the irony, I guess you could call it irony, of this day, making the trek from 1992 to 2025, is that police killings of people in general have gone up. Even from 2020 to now, they go up it's not a straight line, but it's a line going up. There's no dip. I think it was last year that was the deadliest on record since we've been keeping track of police killing people. We're on a trajectory where we could see even more this year. There hasn't been since 2020, and I'm not tracking back to 92 because I haven't gone back that far, but since 2020, there has not been a year where police killed less than 1,000 people in this country. So, unfinished business. I mean, I'm talking about it. I'm tracking it. We still have qualified immunity, the legal doctrine that allows police to do these crimes and not have to face criminal liability, nor do they have to face civil liability because we, the taxpayers, cover that cost. And if you look at a market like Los Angeles, where I'm broadcasting from, that means hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it's $500 million in the last 3 years on payouts for attacks, police attacking people. This is where we are. And I had the opportunity to interview Rodney King just about a year before his death, which, by the way, I found that death to be very sus. The guy's a lifelong swimmer and fisherman who loves the water, and he's found drowned in a pool. So either he was feeling suicidal, which wouldn't surprise me, because when I talked to him, what he described was almost like being a lightning rod for all of that agony and anger, despair, and rebellion around policing in this country. He was always going to be stopped and harassed by police for the rest of his life, he told me. He outlined incident after incident where he was pulled over or where he'd see cops in his rearview mirror and freeze and become completely terrified. Well, who wouldn't after that beating? But not just the beating, the public nature of that trial, what it set off across this entire nation. He became the sacrifice, or one of the sacrifices for our struggle. And it was written all over his face. It was on, in his body. NEC Courtney says, say their names. We've had many Rodney Kings since then, and that's why we continue to engage the enemy on all fronts. Yes, and Rodney King escaped with his life for a while. His life was forever changed. He was hunted by demons, attacked by white supremacists and aggressive cops, asked too much of by activists and everyday people who turned his ordinary life into a symbol in which he had to live under. For us, it's a symbol. For him, it's his life. So it's a reminder of why, one of the many reasons why, as is Elijah McClain, as is Tamir Rice, as is Grichario Mack, as is Sandra Bland, say their name, say their name, say their name, say their name, as is James Mincy, say his name, of why the work of 1965, the work of 1992 is not over. Love to hear from you. News, traffic, and sports, then more. Only right here.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Rebuilding has begun in the largely black populated community of Altadena, California after the Eaton fire. A property on West Palm Street is the first site of reconstruction cleared by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Only 4 property owners have received rebuilding permits so far. Delivery company DHL is resuming shipments from other countries worth more than $800 to the U.S. It suspended those shipments last month because of new U.S. requirements requiring those packages to be formally processed for entry. The power is mostly back on in Spain and Portugal a day after a massive blackout disrupted life for tens of millions, including American tourists. The cause of the blackout is still under investigation, but authorities have ruled out foul play. And Hollywood is making another Miami Vice movie. It's the second go at a Miami Vice movie after 2006's version starring Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Experience adventure at Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. Ride the world's largest rotating tram car. Explore over 50 miles of scenic trails in pristine wilderness. Dine at 8,500 feet with awe-inspiring views and get that perfect souvenir. Adventure at its peak. Learn more at pstramway.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Critical game for the Clippers tonight in Denver. It's Game 5 of their first-round series against the Nuggets. The series is tied at 2 games apiece in the best of 7. Clippers coach Ty Lue needs to come up with something in his game plan to deal with Nuggets center Nikola Jokic. In the 4 games, Jokic is averaging a triple-double, 28.5 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 10.8 assists. The Clippers have no players on their injury list, which means Kawhi Leonard is healthy. The Clippers will not get past the Nuggets without Leonard. Leonard has been brilliant in the series, averaging 26 points and shooting 56%. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight on TNT. Shaquille O'Neal has agreed to become the general manager at Sacramento State University. Shaq will help run the school's men's basketball program. Shaq's son, Shakir, transferred to Sac State from HBCU, Florida A&M. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one. righteous rage, and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are, and you're welcome in 800-920-1580 if you got something to say. I know folks like to get in that chat in the comments during YouTube. We're at KBLA 1580. And go in. The conversation is always robust there if you want to talk to someone. Tomorrow is the next Laker game? Tomorrow is do or die.
Man, yes.
Every day is do or die right now.
Oh, my gosh.
To do or die in L.A.
My gosh. And I don't know how long LeBron's going to be able to do this, guys. We got to get this right, Lakers. We got to pull this first round series off. We can't be first round exit with the talent that we have right now. That's no.
Isn't it's been we've had some tough breaks, right?
Last few games has been the defense and the mainly the bench too. We need some production off the bench. It's playoff basketball, boys. You know what I mean? It's LA. It's the big time. It's not AAU. We need some production. We can't let our starting five play 46 out of 48 minutes.
Wow,
that's not going to work.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it's tomorrow. But the rest of the series, every game, the rest of the series. Right. If we lose any game, it's over.
Rest of the week
for the season. Yeah. So, well, miracles happen. I mean,
we can do it. We got the team to do it. But
keep hope alive.
It's a make or miss league, so any given day you can hit 23s and it's just your night. So, and it's LeBron James, it's Luka Doncic. These are these are all time great.
Is he better though?
Huh?
Doncic, is he better?
He's great. Yeah, he's good. He's
because he had the flu or something.
He was sick. He got sick in game 2.
Yeah.
But he played 46 minutes last game. So.
Yeah, but I go Lakers. That's what I'll say. Go Lakers.
I humbly want to say this too. Shout out to the Clippers. The Clippers looking real nice. I'm just saying, just as a fan of the sport, as somebody who respects, the LA kids that are on that team, respects Harden and Kawhi, they balling. Not mad at that.
I mean, and they have a game tonight, right?
Yep, game 5, game 6, I think. But they're against the Nuggets, and they can get them out of there.
Look, you know what? I'm not a Clipper fan, and yet you're so right. In LA, there are Clipper fans. They just don't get the love.
Right. They got to win. They got to get through get through the West. So it's going to be uphill battle, but this is a good start. And as long as Kawhi's healthy, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah. Well, also, like you said, there's something to be said for not going out in the first round.
Right. But you're getting such a good team out of there. Team's been through a lot. The Nuggets lost their coach right before the season ended. And Russell Westbrook has been hurt for their team, but still, that's a MVP you're playing against in the center Jokic right now. So make it happen, Clippers.
Ooh, is that why you have your keep your head up Tupac shirt? Man, is that for the Lakers?
Yeah, man. Look, Tupac care if nobody else cares.
So Molly Bell was wanting to reiterate what happened in 92. Right, Miles? You weren't born yet, but about 92. You come from conscious family.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about it. My family wasn't in LA at the time,
right.
But yeah.
Did anything? Oh, you probably don't know because you weren't alive. Anything jumped off in Vegas, but I bet you it did because I know New York and in Detroit, Chicago, pretty much anywhere there's a lot of black folks. It was on. So there were 4 cops that beat up an unarmed driver, Rodney King. And this is before everyone, this is 92. We didn't have cell phone cameras. We didn't even have Blackberries. We had pagers and phones, at home. We had home phones. We didn't carry phones around with us unless you were like a drug dealer or something, and then you had a phone the size of a loaf of bread. But I don't even think those were really, I don't remember those being a thing in 92. So these 4 cops who beat the crap out of Rodney King, and they were seen on video because there was a amateur filmmaker who was just happened to be with a real camera who shot it. those 4 officers were found not guilty by he was beaten up March 3rd of 91. They led him on a high-speed chase, and they beat him up. Lawrence Powell, Theodore Briseño, and Timothy Wind, among others. It was 89 seconds of video. They kicked him. They beat him with sticks. It's terrible. They kind of like the George Floyd video in that they showed it over and over and over and over again, except that we weren't as jaded then. We hadn't seen dozens and dozens of videos of Black death and, violence, porn, and understanding that we were not as desensitized to it. Just like during the emergency phase of the pandemic, where we watched what appeared to be intentional murder of George Floyd on tape over and over again, and we couldn't look away. This was sort of a preview of a whole era where we watch Black death on the news. Some call it, porn, violence porn, but it's really like this entertainment. It's almost reminiscent of lynchings where people would gather around with popcorn and watch us be strung up from trees. It's that kind of energy now, except you don't have to leave your house. You can just watch the news or watch YouTube, and there's video after video of us being murdered and beaten. This was before that was a common thing. An LA grand jury indicted Sergeant Stacy Coombe and officers Powell, Wind, and Briseño. They were charged with assault with a deadly weapon, use of excessive force. And they charged Coombe because even though he's not seen on tape doing the same violent actions, he is the supervisor at the scene. They were charged with filing false police reports, but that trial was taken to Simi Valley, where they were acquitted. And maybe Linda J will call me today. Or you, 800-920-1580. Maybe Molly Bell will call me today, 800-920-1580. It was a home video camera, Aaron J. Brooks. And the judge, this guy Stanley Weisberg, he moved the trial to Simi Valley, way out where a lot of cops live in Ventura County. Why do I say that? Most officers do not live in the communities they patrol. Still, particularly in Black communities and Latino communities. For the most part, they don't live there. They're more likely to live somewhere like Simi Valley. That jury, not guilty on all counts. One assault charge against Powell ended up in a hung jury. And as Molly Bell says in the chat, LA went off, but it wasn't just LA. LA, of course, was the biggest. Legendarily, it breaks out at Florence and Normandy. Traffic was blocked. People were getting beat up. Famously, Reginald Denny was dragged out of his truck and beat up while a news helicopter filmed. This is a preview of the YouTube era. We didn't have all that back then, but it played over and over on the news. And this is when the governor of the state of California deployed the National Guard. He was asked to do so by our mayor at the time, Tom Bradley. They did a curfew. The city was on fire. Hundreds of people were injured in that first night. At least a dozen people were killed. And I was not in LA, like I said. I was in the Bay Area. There was a lot of protests, but nothing like here, where basically law enforcement lost control of the community and abandoned it. Yeah. The lessons of that should have been the lessons of the 1965 Watts uprising, which again was sparked by officers unjustly and brutally beating a motorist in South LA. And what happens? The community takes to the street. The thing about 2020, which is different than 65 or 92, is that the way people like to shake their heads and say, why would you burn your own neighborhood? Well, there wasn't much burning of neighborhoods going on, but the protest and whatever destruction came with it was exported to Santa Monica, to Beverly Hills, to Wilshire, to Hollywood. And I think that is a testament to the fact that, number one, people learn the lessons of what happens when our own community is destroyed and no one steps up to rebuild or redevelop. And number two, it spread the sort of militaristic response, because not only was the protesting happening in neighborhoods of commerce, like we did see that in downtown LA and such, shops being burnt and looted and protested here as well, but also because it spread to shopping areas in wealthier neighborhoods, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills. And we saw it on Market Street in San Francisco, which used to be nice back then. I think it's having a comeback. But anyway, what you get in 2020 is you get the Donald Trumps of the world being put on notice that this could hit anybody, any neighborhood. And now they're ready to move in right away with the National Guard, with the criminalizing of us, with the creation of a made-up category, the black identity extremists, which is not a thing. So what happens when we take to the streets? And of course, America is taking to the streets now. The world is taking to the streets now, but it's not mostly us. What happens when it's mostly us? We all know what would have happened had January 6th been us. There would have been mass death. And so in this authoritarian moment, that's what we'll talk about in hour 3. How do we protect young protesters and also ourselves? And why are they so driven? If you want to share your thoughts, your memories, your observations, 2020 or 1992 or 1965, we still got some folks that was marching out there, probably around. Yes, 800-920-1580, or hop on KBLA 1580 in the YouTube, or hit me up on any of our socials. Same thing, KBLA 1580 on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We are there. I'm there at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. Let's talk about it. KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
By the way, in the spirit of 429, 55,000 LA County workers are on strike. They walked off the job last night, and they're mostly healthcare social workers, social workers, also library and park workers. So this is, if you can hold off on going to the hospital, I mean, if you can't, you can't. You got to go. But SEIU Local 721 started a 2-day strike last night, 7 o'clock. They say the county's not negotiating fairly in their new contract, and they are off the job. The union, according to the union, this is the first time all of their workers have walked off the job. So that means all county departments, especially healthcare clinics, hospitals, libraries, are going to be closed. Hospitals have to stay open, but the clinics don't. And the wildfire, the cleanup of those beaches from the wildfires paused. Yeah, this is not a good day to go to the Hall of Administration. Likely shut down because of this strike. So that's where we are right now. Happy 429. Happy is not the right word, but it's certainly in the spirit of the protest of 92. There's, if you're in LA County, there's a big strike. Let's go to JW calling us from LA. Good morning, JW.
Good morning. I could have been one of the persons that you would have had to talk off the ledge, because I can remember as far back as when Donald Trump was running for his first term, what really triggered me and concerned me, gave me a lot of anxiety and all the above, is when he had, at one of his campaign rallies, some black people were being forced out of the rally, but he was some of the people that was...
right, I remember that too, yes, when he was just...
Yeah.
He was saying, if you beat up a Black Lives Matter protester, I'll pay your bail. And those white supremacists were dragging people out of protests.
And some of the people were being hit by the audience, too. And
yep.
I'm like, wow, this guy is off the hook, and he's different. Something's different about this particular person, running for office. As well as when he was talking about the police shouldn't be so gentle when they arrest black people,
right?
Criminals,
rough them up, and then remember on the campaign trail, he said 1 day of rough policing is all we need to get everybody in line.
Exactly, as well as when he was Another incident took place when all the owners of the football league, he was referencing the players and saying that they don't comply because of not, kneeling or acknowledging the flag or pledges of allegiance, fire those son of, bees. And I took that personally because that referred to all black women as animals or dogs.
Mm-hmm.
At that point forward, I really started paying attention to the news, and I was noticing how a lot of things got exposure, and that created that particular psyche that I believe, nationwide. And they don't believe that he was serious and he was joking. And I thought that was like a big mistake. This guy's really telling the truth. He's arrogant. He's bold. He's being brash. And he is saying the quiet part out loud. And I anticipate everything that's taking place
There
now.
is no more quiet part, JW. The quiet part is gone.
I anticipated this now. I actually anticipated this back then that take place now.
Yeah.
And it was unnerving, and I'll leave it at that. But I wish we would coordinate some of our protests more thoroughly and just come together and have a more thorough plan where we can be effective. And I'm just waiting for that.
Well, I mean, they are starting to coordinate nationwide, but as far as the plan goes, I feel like it might be in the hands of the people because these political parties just ain't it unless, or is it time for a third party?
You're 100% correct because we can be the largest party, the People Party, and we will be effective if we all come together because there's power, in numbers, and if it's a mass thing that starts in America and moves around the world in terms of humanity, like Dr. Cornel West always referred to, and we already realize that it's a war against poverty, etc. So you follow my point, and I love the show because it always alludes to various things to that point without, really just going too far because I know, people are paying attention to us, and we don't want to just give us too much info. Bottom line is, I wish we'd be more effective and connect the dots and everybody come together. I don't care what program or even attorneys that know about, the law and formulate some type of new language and accuse him of doing what he's doing, which is already illegal and has already been proven because it's in the news every day. And we are experiencing a crisis. It seems like we can have a moral crisis that we can accuse him of in terms of a universal God.
We can accuse him of anything. The point is not even him anymore, JW. I think the point is how do we get our nation back from authoritarianism and fascism? It's not a threat anymore. It's a reality. And so, we already know what the guy's been impeached twice. He's got 34 felonies, and there were more pending that he got out of because he was elected president. So accusing him even all the way to the courts hasn't been effective. It feels like what has to happen is a total takeover by people, whether that's at the voting booth or whether that's in the streets or whether that's inside the political halls, something. It cannot be business as usual. And I agree with you, Jerry. We cannot normalize this. I don't want us to be discouraged, but this is not normal. JW, I appreciate the call. He called 800-920-1580. You can do the same. Phone lines remain wide open. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Rebuilding has begun in the largely black populated community of Altadena, California after the Eaton fire. A property on West Palm Street is the first site of reconstruction cleared by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Only 4 property owners have received rebuilding permits so far. Delivery company DHL is resuming shipments from other countries worth more than $800 to the U.S. It suspended those shipments last month because of new U.S. requirements requiring those packages to be formally processed for entry. The power is mostly back on in Spain and Portugal a day after a massive blackout disrupted life for tens of millions, including American tourists. The cause of the blackout is still under investigation, but authorities have ruled out foul play. And Hollywood is making another Miami Vice movie. It's the second go at a Miami Vice movie after 2006's version starring Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
If you're ready for a new job, let Express Employment Professionals help you. Express is already hiring for summer jobs in a variety of industries. Job seekers never pay a fee at Express. Go to expresspros.com to find your location. That's expresspros.com.
This is the KBLA Sports
against the Nuggets. The series is tied at 2 games apiece in the best of 7. Clippers coach Ty Lue needs to come up with something in his game plan to deal with Nuggets